This is a very well done pencil sketch by Mark McCandlish, who is again the world's premier aerospace illustrator, showing Dan Burrish being suited up in the test suit and then entering the airlock or decontamination chamber for entry into the clean sphere. Now, what in the world does J-Rod mean? I mean, we've heard this before. In its simplest terms, J-Rod means 15. Because J on the computer keyboard is the 10th letter in the English language. The dash or rod was symbolic of the Mayan glyph that indicated the number 5. So you put those together, you get 15. That's also symbolic because he traveled from 15 light years away to get to Earth. So that's the definition of J-Rod and how he got his name. Now, 2 quotes from Dan Burrish that are very important. He said, "I have never met an alien, but I have met an extraterrestrial. The difference being that an extraterrestrial such as a J-Rod is actually a future human and therefore shares a same human lineage. A true alien, on the other hand, would bear no such human lineage." So that's the difference between an extraterrestrial and an alien. Now, when he was working there, you can see him with the PINS device taking samples from the J-Rod. And he was called Keala, a little bit of description of what he looked like. He measured 3.5 feet tall. He had dark brown appearance, very black inset eyes, a disproportionately large head. He had a small nose, long arms, and no teeth. Interesting to note that the designation for this particular J-Rod was EBE-53AZ2. That stands for Extraterrestrial Biological Entity, 1953, UFO Crash Retrieval, Kingman, Arizona, number 2. Because remember, the first one died on impact. The other one went to a Y-11 facility at Los Alamos. Now, during one of these tissue sample sessions, remember, you have to follow a certain protocol to approach this J-Rod. You have to raise up your right hand, the J-Rod raises his right hand, and then you take multiple bride steps together, and then you meet in the center. During one occasion within the clean sphere, the J-Rod, who was known as Keala, he broke the protocol, rushed Dan, and they had developed a friendship at this time. So this had never happened before, and he wasn't under attack, but Dan Burrish was startled about what took place. He stepped back and accidentally caught his boot of the total encapsulated suit on the grid structure of the bottom of floor of 4-5, and he tripped over backwards on his oxygen tank, and the J-Rod proceeded to infuse into him a tremendous amount of material having to do with future events. So it's incredible what took place inside the clean sphere. This is an illustration by Mark McCandlish showing the decontamination process within the airlock for entry into the 4-5 facility. Now, again, how did they get this technology to access these naturally occurring stargates? Ladies and gentlemen, they got those from the Sumerian cylinder seals, in some cases from the Baghdad Museum. Now, what you'll do here is you'll take a piece of wet clay and you'll roll that over the clay, the cylinder seal, and you'll end up with this positive relief. Now, according to Dan Burrish, what the government figured out how to do is you take a mirror, go right down the center line of one of these glyphs, and you get a mirror image, which is nothing more than a blueprint on how you access these naturally occurring stargates. That's how they did it. That's how they did it. Now, in 2003, something interesting happened. J-Rod was moved from his position within the clean sphere 4-5 facility. He was flown to Abydos Temple, which is down the Nile River. Perhaps some of you have been there, actually. And remember, he has to be in his own positive pressure atmospheric environment or he'll die. So they ended up building a stroller for him. This is Dr. Dan Burrish's illustration of what that stroller actually looked like. And recall, too, that they were friends at the time. So Dan Burrish was sad that J-Rod could not go home to his family and be with his family. He had a compassion for him. So in this act of compassion, during the accessing by the government of one of these naturally occurring stargates at Abydos Temple, Dan Burrish thrust forward that stroller and pushed Kayla into this Stargate, sending him home. However, Dan and the stroller device were kicked out. He got into a lot of trouble for this, but it was an act of compassion on Dr. Dan Burrish.